Hey, hey, hey. How's it going, good people? I apologize for last live. The replay has since been deleted because my last live was 45 minutes of a podcast and my mic was not. The settings were routing the microphone from a mic that doesn't exist. Therefore, you could not hear anything but dead space for whenever I was talking, and the only thing you could hear was the videos that I was sharing when I shared my screen. Um, Basically, I reacted to three or four videos from Instagram and gave my opinion on the. eff- I was giving my opinion on what it would mean to say no to the system, right, or to the systems that control us, because the control systems, for some reason, we don't say no to them. Not in any real way, not with any real consequence, right? We don't choose to go as far as we can to say no, even if the people that I'm talking about are directly responsible for and admitting to in broad daylight the deaths of thousands of children, no matter where in the world it happened, it's no matter where in the world it's happening. Pardon me. The system that's run by people, and we all know that certain people within the apparatus are involved in the thousands of kids that go missing thing that happens all around the world. We know all of the militaries and all, that people are involved, and the only way that's possible is if people fall victim to self-sabotage, self-disrespect, and ultimately self enslavement by way of obedience to enslavers. There's some stuff somebody might tell me to do one day, and I would rather choose death. And then there's other stuff that I'll comply. I'm not perfect, and I'm not above choosing, something comfortable right now and trying to figure out the rest later. I'm not above that. But there's some stuff, man, you couldn't pay me, you couldn't pleasure me enough to do it. That I feel like a lot of people just do, who join these costumed organizations and associations and think of themselves as some sort of authority figure or a part of a part of an entity that serves as the authority figure, right? Where you're not responsible, your department is responsible. Where you're not culpable, the order giver is culpable, even though you carried out the action. It's the order giver's fault. I was just doing my job, right? That's cult behavior. That's cult mindset. That is the mindset of someone who has been indoctrinated deep enough to identify as the lackey of the oppressor on purpose with pride. And that's not a mindset that, if we, the people, are pursuing the goal of forcing the hand of the oppressor class to change and to follow their own rules, so to speak, the good rules, the rules that make sense, that are aligned with nature, right? And human nature, that are aligned with a higher nature than just the animal kingdom, but what is naturally harmonic with the earth, the whole life, the whole life, right? What was I saying? Essentially, what I'm trying to get at is, if we have the goal of making the world a better place, then we cannot obedience to evil our way to that finish line. We cannot trust evil our way across that finish line. It's not going to work. And it's not going to work for a very simple reason, which is that our obedience creates the reality of their authority. And if they already have the evil goals, and we, by way of obedience, meaning giving our energy to them in service of them and whatnot, at the expense of others and at the ignorance of the suffering of others because of distance and all of these things that we talk about on this channel, our obedience fuels their agendas by way of our energy fueling their action, their opportunities. And one of the things that I reacted to earlier today was from the Instagram channel Misread 35, I believe. Let me just make sure I get that right. Where is my more saved? There we go. Be having to find stuff. Misread underscore 35. MSRED underscore 35. I reacted to a couple of her videos, and she was talking about how she stopped paying her bills. She went homeless. She started living in her car. Basically, got a gym membership so that she could have access to showers and um, a place to get ready every day and stuff like that. She was accepting certain conditions to stand on certain principles, and she acknowledges that her situation um, not allowed for it as if it was easy, but was like, it doesn't seem like she had a 2-year old, that was in need at the time, right? Not everybody's situation is the same. And she acknowledges this, but she talks about how, but what if we were all on this together? What if a whole apartment complex just all together on the same month was like, yeah, nah, no rent this month. You all been charging way too much. You got enough of our money. We're not paying it. No utilities, no nothing. And it's everybody from the same complex, same month. Uh, um, let's say the complex is 85% occupied. What are they going to do? Evict everybody? They don't have the resources to evict everybody. And you know, if a whole neighborhood of houses do the same thing, let's assume, corporate rentals and not just like an individual renting out their, one of their family houses or whatever. But, like a corporate, like it's a neighborhood and you go there and you rent instead of buying, and you're paying a corporate landlord. Everybody in the whole neighborhood was like, you know what? You get $3 million a year from us. This space don't cost no $3 million a year. All these things together. No, we're not paying it this month. We're not paying, period. What are they gonna do? They're gonna say the market's gonna crash, and then the market's gonna crash. Then the banks are gonna be like, nope, we don't have anything for you. Sorry, can't. whatever. But okay, do you have any skills? Do you have any charm? Any ability to speak? Do you have vocabulary and confidence? Do you have guts and courage? Do you have enough trust in you to work together with people around you that you don't that you didn't grow up with? Are you willing to learn how to do things like educate the youth, grow food, um, filter water, put up a tent, put up put up a shelter of any kind, a simple shelter, right, or a complex shelter. Can you put up a crib? Can you make a house? Um, can you fix an AC? You gotta go to HVAC. Um, something, so just something. I don't know. Can you cook? Can you cook? Can you cook? Right? A lot of people cannot, and a lot of people, if they lost access to either this money stuff that we have going on, this ability to transact, or lost the even just the internet for a long period of time, had no internet, right? No internet via phone or another device. The whole internet's gone from your country. They would likely starve or self harm or be taken advantage of by being super desperate out in the street because they can't offer somebody a hot meal in a barter exchange for whatever they need. Can't offer somebody a skill, you know, do a project with somebody so that they can also do project for them in return or during or whatever. And just be local. Know the people around you. Learn the people around you. Interact with them. You know, our division is also something we are obedient to, but this is a much deeper indoctrination than mere um like this runs super deep. The reason why we don't know anybody around us and usually have a hard time trusting those that are closest to us in proximity. And we can probably get into the depth of that in another episode where I've prepared actual notes um, in sequence. But I mean, it's biblical. It's a whole study why trusting your neighbor is so deeply ingrained that it's just not smart. And when put to the test, it's always like the greatest thing ever to trust all your neighbors. There are a bunch of communities where it's kind of tight knit, and people help each other, and people know when somebody is down and out, and do something about it or try. But it all comes down to the stories that we're telling ourselves about the people we are around and ourselves. Right? The more knowledge of self you have, the better story you tell about yourself. And the better story you tell about yourself, the better story you tell about those around you, which are the reflections of you. So, if we can upgrade the story that we tell about our neighbors to ourselves, meaning if we associate stranger with danger only and never mature into a balance of discernment, opportunity, um, and just not assuming, but being in reality, being sharp enough to, predict things based off people's behavior, but just not, not assuming, you know, more so responding responsibly, being response able in the highest sense of the word is enough. And that allows space for trust to form um quickly and with enough caution. But what that runs up against is the imagery and the stories that we have about what we call human nature. We think that human nature is so greedy and so focused on pleasure and self benefit that there could be no, you know, where if we trust enough people in numbers, then eventually it's a statistical thing. It's inevitable. We are going to fail because enough people will be of the mindset to sabotage some shit. And there is some truth to that as far as the pattern goes in history, but now is always the only real moment that we have in reality. And if right now we're not choosing that, then right now, all the best that we can do is keep our eyes open, keep our heart open, and keep our feet moving forward. That's it. You know what I mean? Don't be stupid, don't be blind, and don't be dogmatic, but also keep them projects moving along. And to circle back to the whole crux of the situation, which is the religion of monetary value. The mission is not to do as much rash behavior as possible when we talk about, like, not paying things or walking away or um choosing to exit as much of the system as you can. It's not just being reckless. It's not a matter of how little or how much you can take, right? It's a matter of being mature and standing on principle. Mature, pointing to being consistent with, what you what you say you're working towards, and what your actions are working towards, right? Being mature, um, being accountable, right? Same thing. What you say you're working towards and what your actions are working towards are held to account, right? And let's say I said mature, and the other one was self-explanatory. But that's it. I can't repeat myself because this isn't coming from notes. This is coming all off the top. I just now noticed that my mic wasn't on. I just now noticed that that whole video was mute. My mic, it was almost like my mic was muted, because the settings was going to a mic that doesn't exist right before I went live here, because I was like, oh, I'm not doing a podcast just because now it's 10:30 at night. I'm going live. I'm going to be here, good people. This is why I need you to like the video. Okay. This is why it's important for you to like the video, because I'm going to be here. I'm going to be practicing, doing this, going live, speaking into the camera about natural law, religion, money, anarchy, um, how culture is controlled, right? This is my book, one of my books, Culture Control. The book that I want you all to get is called The Inner Storyteller. I also have a picture of the cover of that. The Inner Storyteller by yours truly. Okay. Anyway, good people. I think I've ranted my frustrations uh enough for this little side fireside chat, as Dennis Prager used to call one of his segments. Um, we don't like anyway, we're not endorsing PragerU over here. It's just, I used to watch their channel when I was younger and conservative, on the right, you know, when I was being dogmatic about things and not exploring the truth yet. Anyway, yeah, I really appreciate you guys. I hope that this episode brought some clarity to some things or just let you vent in your head while I was venting out loud. I really was just getting frustration out from my episode um where I was reacting. I'm going to have to do that again tomorrow, but I'm not going to react to the video tonight. It's too late. I don't have enough energy for that. But I hope this episode brought something to your heart and to your mind that you can keep with you forever and ever. Please like the video, subscribe to the to the channels. Um, please consider securing a copy of The Inner Storyteller via the link tree that you can see on the screen. And check out, not only just my book, but all of our work via that link tree. Has all of our links on it that matter. And I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Peace and love.